right, so the last episode, or previous episode, sorry, we talked about these topics. We drew a really corny drawing here of a bone, of a long bone, okay? It's just long. Now let's talk about some cells, right? Let's talk about the actual bone cell types, right? So bone cell types, what are they? We have our osteocytes, and the osteocytes, they are former osteoblasts that have become trapped in the matrix. That's pretty much how you can visualize it. But first, I guess, let's talk about what starts everything, the osteogenic cells. So let's just type here, I'm going to erase this. Let's do osteogenic cells. And the osteogenic cells are osteoprogenitor. Osteoprogenitor. These are stem cells that are found in the endosteums or the periosteum and in central canals. So to jog your memory, you're going to write stem cells, right? They're also called osteoprogenitor cells. They are these stem cells, okay, that create these other cells related to bone tissue. Sorry. So we have our osteoblasts. Osteoblasts. These are bone-forming cells. Bone-forming cells. And I could just try to condense this as much as I can, but let's just write here functions, right? Functions of osteoblasts. What can we say about the function? They secrete osteocalcin. All right, so you're going to read up on that. Osteocalcin. Remember, this is not me teaching you the material. This is me going over some, pretty much some ideas for flashcards. Things that you definitely need to master before a quiz or a test. A minor quiz, not a final accumulative exam, because for that you're using your book and your notebook. But these are just little flashcards that, you're going to pop these during you're waiting in line or something. Everybody talks about waiting in line. I've never seen anybody waiting in line and looking at their flashcards. Realistically speaking, if you're riding with someone, right, someone else is driving and you're the passenger seat and there's traffic or something, or it's a commute and you're carpooling, whip these out. So secrete osteocalcin, that's one of them. It stimulates insulin secretion of the pancreas. So stimulates insulin secretion. So far, 2 secretions, right? Of pancreas. And increases insulin sensitivity in adipocytes, which limit the growth of adipose tissue. So how are you going to remember this? You're going to put increase sensitivity increase insulin sensitivity in adipocytes. So I'm going to leave it there with with the adipocytes. I'm not going to go too deep into the functions of the osteoblasts, because again, these are going to be, on flashcards. So you want the least amount of words, but you want these words to trigger your memory. So for the functions, we have 2 secretions, right? Secrete osteocalcin, and it stimulates the insulin secretion of the pancreas. But then we also have 2 words related, right? We have 2 of those functions have to do with insulin, right? So you're stimulating the insulin secretion of pancreas, and you're also increasing the insulin sensitivity in the adipocytes. So to keep going deeper and deeper, you definitely have to. And once you're there, you can use these flashcards to jog that memory, all right? Now let's talk about osteoclasts, all right? Osteoclasts. These are the bone dissolving cells, okay? And these are actually found on the surface of the bone. They might ask you where you find them, found on surface. of bone. Okay. Now, really nice fun fact. These are actually developed from the same bone marrow that gives rise to blood cells. All right. So developed from same bone marrow, B marrow, that give that's funny, that give rise to blood cells. And this is actually a good one. That might be like a true or false. It could be like osteoblasts are developed from the same bone marrow that give rise to blood cells, right? That's false. It's osteoclasts that do that. Let's see. Oh, what about the functions of the osteocytes? We're not there yet. So let's talk about osteocytes. Osteocytes are former, because I started with this, former osteoblasts, I'm putting oblast for osteoblasts, that have become trapped in the matrix. So what you can remember is that osteocytes come from osteoblasts. What about the functions of the osteocytes? The function of the oocytes, it contributes to the homeostatic mechanism of bone density and calcium phosphate ions. So we're just going to put here homeostasis of calcium. Okay. And also, when there's stress, that actually produces biochemical signals that regulate bone remodeling, so triggering your memory. And let's see. Signals for B for bone remodeling. Now, what is bone remodeling? It's a process of bone building from the osteoblast and bone, I would say, I don't want to say consumption, but it's like bone dissolving from osteoclast. So if somebody asks what is bone remodeling, it's just like a cycle, but not really a cycle. So it's bone forming from osteoblasts and bone dissolving from the osteoclasts. So we have that. If somebody asks what is the matrix of the osseous tissue, or what's it made out of, okay, the osseous tissue, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, that's actually conformed by organic matter, and that's synthesized by the osteoblasts, right? That's collagen, carbohydrates, protein complexes, and also inorganic matter. It's 85% hydroxyapatite, or crystals of calcium phosphate salts, and it's also 10% calcium carbonate. So let's just type here, we have organic and inorganic matter. And down here I'm going to put that the organic matter, in parentheses, we have collagen and protein complexes. And for the inorganic matter, we are going, oh my god, that's horrible. We are going to look at, it's 85% hydroxyapatite. We have here crystals of calcium phosphate salts. So we have calcium. And then we have phosphate. Oh my God, am I even writing this right? Hold on. I'm just gonna put here calcium, phosphate, because I hate not being able to write the chemical formula. And it's also 10% of calcium carbonate. Ca carbonato. One really important term that we should learn is what the hell is hypocalcemia? And this is low blood calcium. We should also know what osteogenesis imperfecta and rickets is, what that actually means. So let me just, osteogenesis imperfecta in adults, right? In adults, or rickets when referring to children. I'm just going to put kids here. So these are actually this is brittle bone disease. It's a lack of protein and collagen, okay? So when asked if there's any difference, just say no. We just call it rickets when we're referring to kids. We refer to it as osteogenesis imperfecta when we're referring to adults. So brittle bone disease. This is your flashcard, okay? If you have to go a little deeper, it's lack of protein and collagen / collagen. So that's that. On our next video, we're going to go over terms like bone marrow. We're going to try to finish ossification, bone developments. We have how bones grow. We have Wolff's Law, dwarfism. You might be able to finish all of these other flashcards, and this in part 2 for the second video. So we saw bone cell types. We have our osteogenic cells, our osteoprogenitor, our stem cells. We have our osteoblast for bone forming. We have the functions of the osteoblast, 2 secretions, 2 that have to do with insulin. Remember it that way. Osteoclast, we have bone dissolving cells. They're found on the surface of the bone, developing from the same bone marrow that gives rise to blood cells. Osteocytes, they're former osteoblasts that have become trapped in the matrix, right? The bone matrix, right? Spongy bone. Function of osteocytes, just remember homeostasis of calcium, and it also signals for bone remodeling. Bone remodeling is bone forming from osteoblasts and bone dissolving from osteoclasts. It's pretty much a back and forth between both. Osseous tissue, organic and inorganic matter. What's the organic matter? It's collagen and protein complexes and carbohydrates as well. There's, protein complexes. Inorganic matter is 85% hydroxyapatite, right? Crystals of calcium phosphate salts, and is 10% calcium carbonate. Hypocalcemia is low blood calcium. Osteogenesis imperfecta in adults or rickets in kids, which is brittle bone disease, right? And it happens because of a lack of protein and collagen. So thank you very much. This is part 2. We're gonna go off now into part 3.